Okay, here are your notes for day 2 of Solve Linear Systems by Substitution. You already know the 3 steps from yesterday, but a quick reminder. Step 1 was to set up one of the equations to get x or y alone. We did not have to do that yesterday. Today we're going to include step 1. Step 2, we'll substitute and solve. Step 3, plug in and solve. Pause the camera if you did not get these notes from yesterday or need to rewrite them or review them. So step 1, we need to get one of the variables by itself, either x or y. Well, first you have to establish which one of those do you want to get by themselves. This x is attached to a 3. It's 3 times x. That's going to be difficult to get alone because you're going to have to divide by 3 and you'll probably create a fraction. This x has a negative 2. This y has a 4. So your best bet is to say, well, look at this y. It's almost by itself. It doesn't have what we call a coefficient in front of it. So let's get that y by itself. It's as easy as minusing 3x over here to the other side. And we're used to this. We've done y equals mx plus b. If you need to at this point, again, pause the video so that you have time to write the problem down before you do the work. We do that, and now we have y equals negative 3x minus 7. So now it looks just like yesterday. It's all set up and ready for you. You have the variable by itself. Y is on this side of the tracks, living all alone. Everything else is over here. Put that in parentheses. Substitution. This guy got hurt. He's got to come out of the game. Or this teacher is sick. She's got to go. We need a substitute. So down here, we take them out. They're gone. Dismissed. But you need a replacement. You can't play with too few guys on your team. So in its place, you'll leave the negative 2x plus keep the 4, and in place of this y, where there was multiplication, you put all of this negative 3x minus 7. From here, and equal to 0, from here it looks exactly what we did yesterday. Be careful, make sure you drop down the negative 2x, distribute the 4, and don't lose those negatives. You'll get negative 12x minus 28 equals 0. Add like terms, a negative 2 and a negative 12 is negative 14x. We're getting closer. We have now only a 2-step problem left. Add 28 to both sides, and you get negative 14x equals positive 28. And when you divide that by negative 14, you get x equals negative 2. Again, that's a lot of work for one step. That's all of step 2 right there. Substitute and solve. But every time we substitute and solve, we'll do the same process. Distribute, add like terms, add or subtract, divide. That's the first part of our answer, negative 2. Remember, x comes first always and then y. Now we go up and plug that negative 2 all the way back up here into the parentheses for x. Plug in is step 3. And we now know that x is negative 2. Lots of negatives here. Be careful. Grab a calculator. You take negative 3 times negative 2, your new x, minus 7. You'll end up with negative 1. And that's y equals negative 1. So if y equals negative 1, that goes down here in the second half of your answer. Pause it, rewind it, redo it, whatever it takes to make sense out of this. Again, we're going to do 3 examples. Example 2, pause it, write this down. Okay, after you've written it down, we're taking a look. Step 1, again, we have to try to establish which variable we're getting by itself. This y has a 2 with it. Don't use that one. This y has a negative with it. So you don't want to use that one either because it's kind of not really by itself right now. You have your choice of either one of those 2 x's. It doesn't matter. And since it doesn't matter, I'm just going to add y over here to this side and end up with x equals either y plus 3 or 3 plus y. It doesn't matter. And put that in parentheses. Now, a very common mistake that I kept seeing as we went through day 1, this is in parentheses for the x. X is your new substitution. You can't automatically always take the y out. This time it's the x. So you're taking your x out of this equation. X comes out, 3 plus y goes in. 3 plus y plus 2y equals negative 6. Due to the fact that there was not a coefficient here, we get to skip the distributive property, go right to like terms. 1y plus 2y is 3y equals negative 6. Minus 3 from both sides, you get 3y equals negative 9. And divided by 3 on both sides, y equals negative 3. Take that negative 3 and make sure you put it in the back of your ordered pair so it's in the correct spot with the y. Step 3, plug it in. What is negative 3 plus 3? 3 plus negative 3. It's 0. But that's okay. 0 is a number. Don't panic when you get 0. If you need to, you can check your answer by plugging them in up here. What is 0 minus negative 3? Oh, it's 3. What is 0 plus 2 times negative 3? Oh, it's negative 6. If you plug them in to either one or both, you can check and make sure that you did it right. Last one. Y minus x equals negative 3. 2x minus y equals 5. Pause it. Take the time to write that down. Again, step 1, finding a variable to get by itself. Sometimes this is the hardest part of starting a substitution problem. On day 1, it was much easier because all you had to, it was already done for you. It was set up. It was isolated. Here you're looking at every variable, the y, the x, the y. Which one is the easiest to isolate, to have alone on the side of the tracks? You don't for sure want to use this one because it has a 2 in front of it. But both of these also have negatives in front of them, which actually count as negative ones. You don't want to use, you can, but it causes more work. It causes more steps for you to take. And substitution takes long enough as it is, so I'm trying to shorten it the best we can. The y that's the easiest to get isolated by itself is that one. If you add x to both sides, you end up with y equals x minus 3. An x and a negative 3. One step isolating a variable. You should be able to find that each time. That is going to get substituted, and now we're back to y. It's equal to y, so y comes out. 2x minus, parentheses, x minus 3 equals 5. Do we or don't we have to distribute right now? Ask yourself that question. Do we need to do the distributive property? Up here in the previous problem, we didn't have to. There was no number in front of the x, and there was also no sign in front of the x. On this one, we have to. You have to distribute that negative. It'll be 2x minus x. And then if you take this negative times that negative, you'll get a positive 3. Distribute that negative first. Now add your like terms. 2x minus x is x. Plus 3 equals 5. And minus 3 from both sides, you get x equals 2. Go ahead and put that in your ordered pair right away. Now we're back to the front because it's an x value. Plug 2 in for x. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And one last time, let's check our answers. On your assignment, you can check them in the back of the book, or you can check them by plugging them in. 2 times x, which is 2, minus y, which is negative 1, equals 2 times 2 is 4. This becomes plus plus. 4 plus 1 is 5. So we know that it's right. All right, go back, rewind, pause, look it over again, get ready, and you have a new assignment to do. It's going to be page 381, 12 through 16. 12 through 16, that's 5 problems again, but they take just a little bit longer than they did yesterday. You can either go get a book or go ahead and just open the online version of the book and get started on those problems. When you have questions, ask. You're not completely on your own. You can ask somebody next to you, or you can ask me. But let's get these done so we don't have homework again on this week before Christmas.